Briony, and today I'm going to have a live reading. I'm not going to have a live reading for myself particularly. I'm going to have Yolanda give me a reading that's going to actually help the collective, what's happening in Melbourne and what's happening in Australia. So I don't know all the questions I'm going to ask yet. I've got a couple written down, but I thought that we'd have a reading from a channel. And Yolanda, I've discussed the topic we're going to talk about, but she actually hasn't channeled any information on it. So she doesn't even know what's going to come out. So hi, Yolanda.
Hi.
Thank you for doing this. I know you're a little bit nervous.
It's more just, I don't know what's going to come through. I mean, I know whatever comes through will be really positive and loving because it always is, but it'll be interesting to find out what's going to be said.
Yeah. So some of the questions I'm going to ask might be controversial for some people. And neither of them know the answers. So let's see what happens. Do you want to start?
Get ready?
Yeah.
I'm going to get ready. Okay.
So while Yolanda's getting ready, and she'll tell me, Yolanda's a voice channeler, and she'll connect with her guides, and then her guides will literally speak through her as I ask questions. So she's just getting into that, and I'll wait with my questions.
Hello. We're happy to speak with you today. We would love to hear these questions that you have. We have a sense that they're going to be rather interesting questions, and we have some rather interesting things to say in response. So when you're ready, we are ready and available for your first question.
Amazing. I'm so excited about this, and I love it when you guys come through. So I have lots of questions regarding coronavirus, the lockdowns, wearing masks, a lot of the anger that I've seen in the spiritual community that has been really difficult to witness. And I guess what I want, and I'm sure a lot of people want, is some clarity about all of these things that are happening. So I guess one of my questions is, why is it that there is so much conflict going on at the moment within just the wellness and spiritual community in terms of these vastly different opinions? For example, say wearing masks.
First of all, there's a few points to this question that we would like to address. And the first is essentially just generally speaking about the situation, particularly in Melbourne, with the stage 4 lockdown. Now, it has been triggering to nearly everybody. Nearly everybody has been triggered in some form or another due to the decisions that the government has made, including the government itself. People may not be aware of this, but the decision makers themselves have been quite triggered and are rather hoping that they make the right choices. At the same time, they're not necessarily psychics, and they're not necessarily able to predict certain outcomes. And there is so much open and up in the air at the moment. There's so many things happening, and there's so much potential for things to change from moment to moment. But that being said, we want to say about how everyone has been triggered. It's like new levels of stuff has come up that's questioned our idea of what is normal. It's questioned our ideas of even just sovereignty. And we want to talk about this because we as people have gotten kind of used to particular freedoms. We've gotten used to particular rights. We've gotten used to being able to do things our own way. And not all of us are open to change. Not all of us are particularly adaptable. And one of the things we could say that is happening is we are learning to be more adaptable. We are learning to go with the flow, so to speak. But we're also learning to, more importantly than that, to get in touch with ourselves. Because when we are triggered, it is an opportunity for us to release, to heal, to shift. And most importantly, to release our anger, release the trigger, clear that trigger, get to the root of what's going on, why we are actually triggered. Because when we actually take the opportunity to get to the root of why we are actually triggered, we come to a place of deeper understanding about ourselves, not just about ourselves, but of our truth. And here's the thing. For so many years, so many of us have been, listening to outside opinions, listening to the Facebook, listening to social media, listening to the news, listening to science, listening to all of these external things. We have very much externalized the process of what we've been learning, externalized the process of what we've been absorbing, and externalized other people's opinions, and often formulated our own as a result. And what this lockdown and having to be isolated has allowed us is an opportunity to not just clear the triggers, but to get more in touch with our own truth. And this is highly, highly important, because we are needing to get in touch with our own truth, regardless if our truth is the same as everyone else's truth or if it's not. And actually, more importantly, it is good to acknowledge, and we want to acknowledge, that everyone is going to have a different truth from each other, because different people are at different levels and different people resonate with different levels. And that doesn't mean anyone is right or wrong. Everyone is where they're at in the moment, and that truth is their truth for that moment. And that truth is that truth because it is what they need to believe, it's what they need to feel, it's what they need to experience in order to help them move forwards on their path. That being said, this particular truth that that we as a collective in Melbourne and even in Australia and worldwide are needing to get in touch with, because we have externalized the process of listening to others for so long. We have denied ourselves our ability to listen to ourselves more deeply. What resonates, what doesn't resonate, why not? And this is probably the most fundamental, most important thing that this virus, this lockdown, whether you believe that it is a good thing or a bad thing, this is what it's really bringing up for people. And this is the opportunity that it is presenting more than anything else, is the capacity to go home, stay home, turn off the news, turn off social media, isolate yourself from the world, and get in touch with yourself, because there is no greater gift that we can achieve from this period of time than to get more in touch with ourselves, learn more about ourselves, get more in touch with our truth, with the outside world a bit more switched off. Now, that being said, this has been a bit particularly challenging for empaths in particular, because empaths themselves have been picking up on what's been happening in the world, because it's been feeling a bit like a tidal wave crashing in. The energy has been so big, so strong. And yes, this is fact. This is actually happening. However, for empaths, we say, even though it may feel a bit more challenging, it is also there's an opportunity here for them to get more in touch with their truth as well, and to see how their truth fits with everyone else's, and see how things are going within the collective, and to, we could say, be more compassionate and supportive of the collective, while still taking the opportunity to isolate, switch off, shut down, and go within. And empaths, more than anyone else, are needing to switch off more than anyone else. Empaths are needing to get out in nature. Empaths are needing to sort of get more in touch with themselves by trying to sort of shut out the external world for a period of time, because obviously it is more challenging for them. And part of being an empath and having these gifts is because they're meant to use them for the greater good. So it is important to get in touch with yourself. And once you have gotten in touch with yourself, once you have cleared those triggers, you are going to be a much more grounded, solid force that is going to, we could say, support others around you to work through their triggers. So, because if you have sorted out your triggers and you've come to your place of truth, it's going to make it easier for others around you to work through their problems, work through things, and get to their own clarity, because you're not going to be there confusing them. You're not going to be there doing anything. You're just going to be standing there solid in your truth, knowing that your truth is not the same as their truth. And going on to your question about the polarity that's developed, we want to bring to your attention that there is a belief that is within amongst the collective that my truth must be the truth. My truth must be the truth. And this is a bit of a fine line that gets crossed, because people, when they find their truth, assume everyone else must wake up to the same truth. Everyone else must believe the same truth. When in reality, the highest and most best possible thing you could do is acknowledge that your truth is your truth and your truth alone, and that other people may or may not resonate with your truth, and that is okay. That is still fine. There is nothing they need to wake up to. There is nothing they need to do to change other than to find their own truth. So there is a bit of a sense of this collective energy of my truth is the truth, and therefore I need to convince people, I need to share people, I need to wake people up, due to the belief that if I don't, no one else will. If I don't, other people in the collective won't. If I don't, people cannot wake up themselves. And we just want to say that waking up is an inside job. Waking up is an inside process. We wake up to our truth when we ourselves are ready in the most divine time to wake up to that truth, to our truth, to the truths in the world. This is not something that other people can convince us or tell us or shove down our throats. It must be something that happens from within and be felt within. And so just recognize that there is this sort of level of judgment, we could say, this level of belief. And when you're able to acknowledge that your truth isn't necessarily the truth, you are able to share from this place of love, of sharing your truth, and be more compassionate when other people do not necessarily resonate with the same truth. But there is this belief in the collective that the collective need to wake up, they need to change. In reality, so much is already changing. So many people are questioning so many things. Everyone is questioning things. Everyone is questioning things. No one is sitting by and just going, oh yeah, everything will be great and wonderful, and I'm just going to do this thing and everything will be fine. Everyone is questioning at least something, especially in Melbourne right now, because life has changed so much. We can't not question things. So just really encourage people to question things, encourage them to question it more, allow them to go through their introspective process. And if they come to that place of awakening to their truth, that is even better. And so we hope that we've answered your question with this. If you have any more points that you would like us to share, or any more questions around this, feel free to ask.
Thank you. I do, Yolanda. And also, by the way, for the people watching, there's a reason why I keep saying yes and aha on the top of Yolanda, because you might not notice that it gets crackly, and that tends to happen with all the energy that Yolanda is channeling. So I say that to keep it actually steady. We've worked that out with Zoom. So I do have more questions, and everything you said resonated with me so strongly, and everything that I've been channeling. Now, do you think that lockdown was the right decision for Melbourne? Is this the right way for us to go? Some people think that we should just open up and let the virus, do its thing.
Well, in a simple answer, the decision has already been made, and therefore it is done. It is what it is. This is the reality. But in a bigger picture decision, we do feel that different places on this planet have, we could say, opted to try different things to ultimately see results, because so much of this is an experiment. So much of what's happening on this planet has never happened before. Okay, maybe there was the Spanish flu and there was other things in history, but in this current time that we live in, nothing like this has happened. So no one really knows the outcome of things. And so in a way, we could say, as a result of what's going on a collective worldwide level, it's like certain energies of places have energetically, we could say, put their hand up for different experiences. And the energies of these people and places have, obviously attempted to try different things. In time, we will see ultimately, the results of these so-called experiments. But in terms of, is it right or is it wrong? We actually say neither, because there are dual realities. There are dual opinions here. There are those who say it was absolutely the right thing to do, and there are those who say it was absolutely the wrong thing to do. Neither are right and neither are wrong. But we do want to say that as a collective, a worldwide collective, this is not Melbourne, this is a worldwide collective, there will be studies done. There will be people who look into things much more clearly about what happened as a result of some places locking down, some places opening up, some places just going, oh, well, let's just leave things as they are. It's fine. There's going to be some long-term effects to this, and there's going to be some very key critical learnings that cannot happen if different places do not try different things. So energetically speaking, Melbourne put its hand up and gone, we're going to go into full lockdown. Now, this place, Melbourne itself does contain some energy of, we could say, overcare in certain respects. Not all respects, obviously, but in certain respects, there is a sense of needing to overcare, to follow rules, to ensure that things are done properly and safely. That doesn't mean things are always done properly and safely, but there is sort of an energetic imprint of this energy into Melbourne and Victoria in general, to do things or to be seen as doing things the right way. Are they actually doing the right thing? This remains to be seen, and this is something that we don't know, but we do feel that those who made the decision made it from a place of genuinely wanting to do the right thing. Did they have all the information? No, they did not. Did they really know the ultimate results of this? No, they did not. Were they thinking broader in terms of the impact and the effects of the economy, of mental health? Not in particular. They were focused on what they felt was the bigger picture priority. Was this the smart thing? Again, this remains to be seen. But we do feel that the government had their best intentions at heart. Not everyone agreed. Not everyone was all for it. However, they, as a collective, as a government, made this decision as they genuinely felt it was the best decision that they could have made. Their hearts were, we could say, for the most part, in the right place. This is what we feel. This may not be your truth. This may not be what you genuinely believe. You may believe that they're hiding something, or they're all a bunch of crooks, or you may believe that they're doing an amazing job. That is your belief, and that is up to you to come up with and find your own truth in the matter. But this is just our opinion and our belief personally. We hope that this answers your question.
Funnily enough, you did answer my next question about the government, whether they had intention. So that's interesting. And funnily enough, you reiterated what I felt, that whether it was the right decision or maybe the decision that I'd make, or in hindsight, or everyone else would have made, I think that they believe this is the best thing to do, regardless of what the outcome was. So it's interesting that you already answered that for me. Now, I've got another question, and it was interesting that you touched on the collective energy of Melbourne, because my next question was, I've always felt, and I've been told, which is why I'm in Melbourne, I'm stuck in Melbourne, that Melbourne is one of the spiritual capitals of the world, or it's an emerging one that will be. And so I find it interesting that we've been locked down to this degree, because I feel like this is probably a part of a massive spiritual awakening, because everything's been taken away from us, even our identities with our masks, and that's part of from what I understand, a spiritual awakening is taking every outside thing away from you and actually having to just, be with yourself, I guess, to some degree. And it's brought up a lot of stuff for us. Am I correct in thinking that Melbourne is part of that?
Absolutely. And we really love how you described Melbourne as being a emerging spiritual hub. Because this is true. Indeed, Melbourne is very much we don't want to say particularly a spiritual hub, but it is definitely an emerging spiritual hub. There is still a ways for it to go. However, compared to other worldwide cities, there is far more happening in this city than there are in other cities. And yet at the same time, there are more and more people being drawn to come here to lay down anchors, to build up that energy, to build up the vibration of this city. There are, we love to call them pioneers in many ways. It's a term you can relate to, we're sure. There are many so-called pioneers who are coming to lay down the fundamental basic foundations of this place to build up the energy, so that later on down the road, other people can come in and take it to the next level. There is some real block building people in the city that are really block building the energetic spiritual foundations. And part of these block building roles that people are doing, it's really enabling a sacred container to be built to essentially allow for not just the ascension of the city, but for those who are within it to open their hearts, open their minds to become more aware of things, but also to essentially step into more of who they are and to become more open-minded. And we wanted to say this again, Melbourne is really developed. There's no coincidence. It's one of the most multicultural cities on the earth, because it's really challenging and enabling people to become much more open-minded. But a part of these foundation builders that's happening, and part of the situation as well that's happening in the world, is it's also enabling people to open up their hearts, which is also critically important. Because opening up the heart allows people to not just step more into themselves, but to find more of who they are. Because that's an inside job, to find more of who they are. And in this stage 4, and the fact that we are in a second lockdown when other places and spaces have chosen not to have a second lockdown, or have not necessarily needed to have a second lockdown, it's given us the opportunity to go even deeper than we did the first time. In the first time, many people in the city just scratched the surface. They just scratched the surface. But with this second round, we are going deeper. And we do feel that there are going to be many, many, many cases and instances of people who are going to experience an awakening, experience a jump in their spiritual evolution, in their spiritual path, an opening as a result of this, particularly this second lockdown after the first, because it's really helping people to go much more deeper inside and hear themselves think, hear their deeper truths. Again, we're talking about this, hearing their deeper truth. This second lockdown in Melbourne is really helping people go deeper, and this is fundamentally important because of what is being built in Melbourne, because people are needing to become more open-minded, become more open-hearted, and also to get more in touch with themselves faster. Because whilst you said, and we liked this term, that Melbourne is an emerging hub, we agree. We also want to say that, energetically speaking, Melbourne is on a bit of a fast track. So in many ways, there are a lot more people waking up here, a lot more faster. There are some very talented people finding their talents and developing their talents faster than in other areas, because the energy in Melbourne is being built up to support more and more and more and more of that to occur in the city. And therefore, with the second lockdown, we are having an emergence of more spiritual awake people waking up even more and stepping into more of their gifts, stepping into more of their purpose, and creating powerful change and powerful results moving forwards. And to really help this city go from an emerging hub to a leading hub, where people from other places will come to receive deeper healing. Now, the energetics of the land is still undergoing changes to be able to support this. There is still a lot of energy work happening in the land and on the land, and there are those who are already busy at work doing this, doing grid work, doing these kinds of things, who've already stepped into their purpose, stepped into their role. But with this lockdown and people being able to go out and visit people as much, more people are getting out in nature, going for walks, getting out in the garden. And this is helping people to get more in touch with the land and anchor more energy into the land and connect into those grids, put more energy into those grids, clear out those grids, build up those grids. There's been a lot of grid work happening in Melbourne this year. There has been a significant amount, and it is going to continue into the new year, simply because there is just so much happening here that is really enabling the city to evolve in a more accelerated and a more accelerated rate, if this makes sense.
It 100% makes sense to me. It's what I've been feeling, and I've seen people post that we shouldn't be scared of death, and all of these things, because we're trying to avoid death by locking down. But I also have felt that people are avoiding the discomfort of adversity, and that this is adversity that we are going through, especially in Melbourne, and that only through adversity do we grow. And I do feel like that we are in Melbourne especially are being forced into a massive spiritual awakening. And so what you're saying makes complete sense to me, and gives us a deeper meaning to what's going on, rather than fighting about what is, because it is what is, isn't it?
Exactly. And we do feel that people listening may go, well, I've not really had a huge spiritual awakening. I've not had anything. I've been half in trauma triggered in lockdown. So it's like, it's hard for people to necessarily relate to these words, because right now it's like, the caterpillar to the butterfly. Everyone's in the goo right now. Everyone is literally in the goo, going through that transformation. And when you are in that goo, it's hard to feel positive. It's hard to feel amazing. It's hard to enjoy life. But here in Melbourne, we are in that goo, and we are going to come out the other side. And all of this work will become more evident as in the coming months and into the coming years, you start to see more people step up, step into their gifts, offer things, offer their services, offer their programs, offer ideas. So many new innovative ideas are coming out of Melbourne in future years that are going to have connections or roots, or be connected to this period of a clearing. There will be a significant contribution that this period is going to have for these people in Melbourne, who are going to be stepping up and stepping out into the world in coming months and coming years. But as we said, we're in the goo, we're in the period of transformation, and you don't normally see these things until we come out the other side. And when we come out the other side will be when we are out of lockdown, when we are more back out into the world, when we are able to spread our love, our joy, our gifts out into the world, because the timing will be right for that to occur, if this makes sense.
Yes, it makes 100% sense. And unfortunately, the greatest awakenings come from a lot of pain, and that's what we're all in at the moment, isn't it?
Indeed.
Well, I feel like we've said enough today. Thank you so much, Yolanda and Yolanda's guides. I'll probably talk about Yolanda now, because she's probably just coming out of this.
We just want to say our final greeting. We do encourage everyone to, as challenging as it can be, to face those inner things that are happening, to look within in the way easy and comfortable for you. This may be just taking some time out for yourself. This may be going out for a walk in nature. This may be simply staying home and having some quiet time. It is important to honor yourself and to not trigger yourself even more, because that could make the process even harder, as there is, in some ways, the sense of less available support to us. So be yourselves, go easy, do what feels right as it feels right. And we do feel you will emerge from this period in a much healthier, stronger way, both internally and perhaps maybe externally. And with that, we're going to end this transmission and end this channeling. We send you many, many blessings and all of our love, and say goodbye for now.
Thank you. Thank you. As I said before, you probably notice I keep saying and yes throughout Yolanda talking, because the energy is so strong that it gets very crackly, and the only way to stop it crackling is when I talk and we get my Zoom moving to me. But Yolanda is doing a workshop for us actually with Soulstar this weekend, this Sunday, and she's teaching people, obviously Yolanda is a voice channeler, but she's going to be teaching people how to do automatic writing and channeling for themselves, and it's for all levels, which is it's going to go for 90 minutes, and it's an incredible way to start to be able to connect to your own guides and find your own truth. That was awesome, Yolanda. Thank you.
And that's exactly what the workshop is going to be, because I'm going to be providing a list of questions that are going to be very introspective. They're going to take you inwards. They're going to get you getting more guidance for yourself, which is really, really important right now. As fun as it is to give guidance to others and to convince others, what's most important right now in this time period is that we go within and get our own answers and get in touch with our own truth. And this workshop is definitely going to help with that.
100%. Thank you so much, Yolanda. That was really cool. I really enjoyed doing that with you. We'll have to do it again another time.
It was. I'm going to have to listen back and hear what I had to say, because I don't remember half of it.
Thank you so much.